Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling a career path that seems to be buzzing with opportunity these days.
Yeah,
Electrical Supervisor.
definitely.
You've sent over a ton of info from RoleCatcher,
hmm
and for anyone who's not familiar,
Yeah,
they're a platform that uses AI to help with job hunting,
right.
but they also seem to be experts on this particular role,
They are.
all the ins and outs.
Okay,
So
absolutely.
consider this your crash course in what it really takes to be an electrical supervisor.
Yeah, and it's a career path that's more relevant than ever. I mean, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything relies on electricity these days.
Totally.
And the demand for people who can actually design those systems, maintain them, troubleshoot them,
Right.
it's huge.
Yeah.
And it's only going up.
Absolutely. So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
RoleCatcher goes way beyond the typical job description here.
Yeah.
This isn't just about, fixing faulty wiring, is it?
No, not at all.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about overseeing entire electrical systems.
Right.
Often for massive projects.
Wow.
You know, the electrical infrastructure of a new hospital,
Right.
high-rise building, a manufacturing plant.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Huge level of responsibility.
And that brings us to something that RoleCatcher kept stressing, quick decision-making in time-critical environments.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like?
So imagine a power surge on a construction site.
Okay.
Okay, you've got a team of electricians, expensive equipment, potentially dangerous conditions.
Right.
An electrical supervisor needs to be able to assess the situation immediately,
Right, then and there.
understand the risks,
Mm-hmm.
and make a decision,
Wow.
often under immense pressure.
And I imagine there's no room for error
No time to hesitate.
because the consequences could be...
Significant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that this role requires such a unique blend of
Yeah.
technical expertise,
Mm-hmm.
but then those real in the clutch kind of leadership skills.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. You're not just dealing with wires and circuits.
No.
You're dealing with...
You're dealing with people.
Right.
Budgets, deadlines, safety.
Mm.
It's a constant juggling act.
And RoleCatcher really digs into the skills needed to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not just about knowing your way around a circuit board.
Right.
They highlight leadership, problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
even negotiation
Absolutely.
as being absolutely key. Anything stand out to you?
You know, they made a point about adaptability
Okay.
and continuous learning that really resonated with me because the electrical field is always changing.
Right.
New technologies.
New technique?
all the time. So you can't just rely on what you learned, 10 years ago.
Stay on top of it.
You got to constantly be learning and evolving your knowledge base.
It's like they're saying you need to be wired for innovation.
Laughs.
Speaking of which, I was fascinated by their breakdown of the career progression path.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as simple as going from apprentice to master electrician.
No, it's much more nuanced than that. It's not quite that linear.
So walk us through it.
They lay out these distinct stages,
Okay.
starting with an electrical technician,
Okay.
then moving up to junior electrical supervisor,
Okay.
and then finally senior electrical supervisor.
Oh, wow. So there's like a whole ladder to climb.
There's a whole ladder.
And I imagine each level comes with more and more responsibility.
Exactly. And a greater need for those leadership and strategic thinking skills we've been talking about.
So it's like leveling up in a video game,
Right.
but instead of collecting coins, you're
Yeah.
collecting experience and expertise.
Exactly.
So let's break down those stages.
Okay.
Let's start with someone just entering the field,
Mm-hmm.
aspiring electrical technician.
Yeah.
What does their day-to-day look like, according to RoleCatcher?
So they're the ones in the front lines getting their hands dirty.
Literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
So they're assisting with installations,
Okay.
troubleshooting, maybe doing some maintenance work.
So really learning the ropes.
It's like their electrical apprenticeship.
Okay.
They're building that foundation and always working under the guidance of more seasoned professionals.
So they're not calling the shots just yet,
Right.
but they're soaking up all that knowledge.
They're soaking it up like a sponge.
Getting that real-world experience.
Exactly, which you can't get from a textbook.
Exactly.
So it's really valuable.
So as they gain that experience
Yes.
and demonstrate their competence, they can start to move up to that junior electrical supervisor role.
That's right.
And this is where we start to see those leadership qualities emerge a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of responsibilities come with that step up?
Well, RoleCatcher highlighted that they would be assisting in overseeing operations,
Okay.
which could mean anything from delegating tasks to other technicians
Okay.
to making sure that projects stay on schedule.
Okay.
They're also starting to make some of those time-sensitive decisions
Right.
that keep things running smoothly
Mm.
and safely on a job site.
That's a big jump.
It's a big responsibility jump.
Yeah, it seems like a totally different mindset.
It really is.
Because you're going from being told what to do
Right.
to kind of having to tell other people what to do.
For sure.
So they're like conductors in training, learning to lead the orchestra,
That's a good way to put it.
but still getting guidance
Right.
from that more experienced maestro.
Absolutely.
It seems like such a crucial stage for developing those critical thinking skills.
100%. They're really starting to see the bigger picture at this stage.
Yeah.
And how all the different parts of an electrical system all work together.
And then as they gain confidence, as they gain experience, they transition into the role of a full-fledged electrical supervisor.
Exactly.
And what does that actually entail?
Yeah.
What are the key responsibilities there?
This is where they really step into that leadership position. And it's not just about, managing people. RoleCatcher talks about developing and implementing procedures.
Okay.
And I think this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because you're talking about creating the systems that keep everyone safe and ensure that projects are completed efficiently and up to code.
It makes sense. It's one thing to understand the technical side,
Right.
but to actually create those procedures.
And enforce them.
Right. And make sure everybody's on the same page.
Absolutely.
And then-
Minimize the risk.
And remember, we're not just talking about a small team here.
Right.
An electrical supervisor might be responsible for dozens of electricians,
Wow.
subcontractors, even interacting with inspectors.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They need to be able to communicate really effectively,
Yeah.
enforce those safety standards,
Yeah.
and then troubleshoot any issues that come up.
And I imagine those issues can be incredibly varied.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything from,
Faulty equipment.
right, like tools and materials not being there,
Yep.
unexpected things on a job site.
And all while staying on schedule and on budget.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the head. And
Yeah.
RoleCatcher actually gave a really interesting example.
Okay.
Imagine you're the electrical supervisor
Okay.
on a project where they've discovered a major issue with the original wiring plans.
Oh, no.
So suddenly you're not just overseeing the installation,
Right.
you're problem solving a potentially dangerous and costly mistake.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure.
Right? So you have to think on your feet,
Yeah.
communicate really effectively with a lot of different teams,
Right.
and make decisions.
And those decisions matter.
Yeah, they could impact the entire project.
That sounds like it takes a very specific personality type.
It really does.
Somebody who can stay calm under pressure,
Absolutely.
think critically, and lead,
Yeah,
even when things are going wrong.
100%.
All right, so they've successfully navigated that.
Just go.
They've proven themselves in that electrical supervisor role. What's next?
So as they continue to excel and demonstrate their expertise, they might eventually climb that final rung on the ladder to become a senior electrical supervisor.
Okay, now that sounds like a role with some serious weight behind it.
Oh, yeah.
What sets them apart?
So this is where we move from like the day-to-day
Okay.
to a much broader scope of thinking.
Okay.
RoleCatcher highlights the role in long-term planning,
Okay.
which requires a deep understanding of not just electrical systems, but industry trends,
Okay.
building codes, regulations.
So they're thinking years ahead.
Yes.
Trying to anticipate challenges.
Exactly.
And making sure that the projects they're overseeing are not just functional today,
Right.
but also adaptable
Right.
for whatever comes next.
Exactly. And for future technologies and advancements.
Oh, wow.
And let's not forget the mentorship aspect.
Okay.
Senior electrical supervisors are often responsible for training, developing the next generation.
Wow.
So they're not just managing projects, they're
Right.
shaping the future of the field.
It's almost like they've become the wise elders.
Huckles.
Right. Passing down that knowledge and experience to the next generation.
I love that analogy.
It's really incredible when you think about it.
It is.
You start from that entry-level technician,
Right.
and you can end up in this position of such influence
Right.
and responsibility.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
It really is.
Speaking of journeys,
Okay.
RoleCatcher also dives into the world of job interviews.
Okay, because we all know how daunting those can be,
Right.
even for experienced professionals.
Especially when you're going for these higher level roles.
Right, exactly. And you mentioned interview questions earlier.
Yes.
And they actually offer some insightful examples
Yeah, they do.
of what a potential electrical supervisor might be asked. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Because I have a feeling these aren't your typical chuckles. Tell me about your greatest weakness type questions.
No. They definitely are not your run-of-the-mill questions.
What kind of curveballs are we talking here?
They're really designed to go beyond just like surface-level knowledge.
Okay.
And really assess
Mm-hmm.
if you have what it takes to actually succeed in this demanding role.
So give me an example.
Okay, so instead of just saying,
Yeah.
tell me about your experience with electrical codes,
Right.
they might present you with a hypothetical scenario,
Okay.
like a code violation on a job site,
Okay.
and then ask you how you would handle it.
So it's not enough to just know the rules. You
Exactly.
got to know how to apply them in these real-world situations.
Yes, in these very high-pressure situations.
What other examples stood out to you?
One that I found really interesting was about conflict resolution.
Okay.
So they kind of painted this picture
Yeah.
where there's a disagreement between a team of electricians
Oh.
and another team on a construction site,
Oh.
and it's potentially causing delays.
Okay.
So how would you, as the candidate,
Mm-hmm.
approach the situation, mediate the conflict, and ultimately find a solution that works for everyone involved?
That's a great example because, again, it's not just about the technical stuff.
No.
It's about those people skills.
It's huge.
Being able to navigate those personalities.
Yes, and sometimes egos.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So they're really trying to get a sense of the whole package.
Yeah.
Right? That blend of technical expertise,
Right.
problem-solving abilities,
Yeah.
but those all-important people skills.
Oh, 100%.
And that's what makes a truly effective leader.
Absolutely.
And speaking of technology and how it plays into this,
Yeah.
we talked about the AI element earlier. RoleCatcher uses that in a fascinating way when it comes to the job search.
That's right.
So what does that look like in practice?
So they're basically using AI to play matchmaker in the job market.
So they'll take your information and try to match you with the right job.
Yeah, it's like having a digital headhunter working for you 24/7.
Wow.
They analyze your skills, your experience, even your interests,
Okay.
and then they match you with potential job openings.
That's wild. It makes
Right.
you wonder, though, can an algorithm ever really understand the nuances of a career like this?
Right. Because like we've been talking about,
Yeah.
those soft skills are so important.
Right, and those leadership qualities.
Can a computer really assess that?
Yeah.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
RoleCatcher seems to acknowledge that human connection is still really important.
Okay.
They emphasize using their AI tools as a starting point,
Okay.
like a way to see what's out there, opportunities you might not have known about otherwise.
Right.
But it's still up to you, the candidate, to really make that connection, to showcase your personality
Yeah.
and all of those intangible qualities that make you the right fit.
Right. It's like they're giving you the tools,
Exactly.
but you're the one who has to build the house.
Yes. And I think that's where those interview skills we talked about become even more important.
Oh, absolutely.
Being able to really articulate your experience, your thought process, your approach to leadership.
Right.
Those are the things that set you apart.
And that human element, I think, is always going to be so important.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No matter how technologically advanced things get.
It's about finding the balance, right, between those advancements and really honing the skills that make us human.
I love that. Well, I think we've done it. I think we've successfully illuminated the path to becoming an electrical supervisor.
I think so, too. We've covered a lot of ground.
From those first steps as a technician
Yeah.
to the strategic leadership of a seasoned pro.
And everything in between.
And everything in between, those challenges, those skills, the opportunities.
It's a career path with a lot to offer.
It really is. Well, thank you so much for diving into this with me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And for our listeners, if you're feeling energized and ready to learn more, be sure to check out the show notes for links to RoleCatcher and other resources.
Yeah, there's some really great information out there.
And who knows, maybe one day soon, you'll be the one calling the shots on a major electrical project.
I hope so.
Until next time, stay curious.